Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel, Hazel Anaka Design. I am doing this video just to show you what I accomplished while I was at my self-guided retreat. I've got a bit of an issue here with this, but bear with me. Now, some of this, I did a really short handheld type video when I was in Canmore, and a cursory look at some of the stuff. I did want to show you maybe a better look at some of the slow stitching that I did on these pieces that will end up being covers on some tiny journals, Christmas journals. I did some slow stitching on each, but because it would have been a good idea, but I didn't take a book cover with me to be able to figure out exactly where on the cover this stitching might end up. So I just kind of stopped in my tracks, thinking I don't want to spend time stitching something that may not be visible in the end. So now that I'm home, I will be able to attach them to the covers. So there are 4 of these. And on this one, finally, I had the presence of mind to add a metallic thread. At first, I thought that I could just use the thread by itself, and then I realized that it's far too fragile. It kept breaking. So the idea is to add it to regular embroidery floss. And so I don't even know if you can see that or not, but there is a bit of sparkle as I have a look at it now. And then this was the first one I started. I was basically doing the outlining of the giant poinsettia. And then this one I focused on the pine and the berries. So you will see more of this as the days progress. Now, you know how in a hotel you get the little sewing kit and the little soap box? I took those things apart, covered them with music paper. Of course, I had, I took rather limited supplies with me because, it was just the reality of the situation. I can't take everything, including the kitchen sink. So I had to, take the things I thought I would be most likely to use. Oh, wonderful. I did this upside down. Damn it. Look how cute those kids are. Obviously, they have to be right side up, but now I notice that the treble clef is upside down. So that will have to be covered. I don't know that only a real musician would probably notice of the other thing. Unbelievable. And on this one, I just used this note paper that kind of has the same. And you'll see that a lot of the things I did have that same pinky, blushy thing to them. Now, I was forced to eat some chocolate, and rather than throw the box away, I turned it into this little cover. And you can probably almost guess that this was a calendar. And it doesn't say Christmas at all, but it does say winter, and it does say sort of old-timey and rural and so on. And then I thought, I don't want to cut that boy and his dog off, or these bales that are covered in snow. So I just ran them around the edge, which of course gave me some nice corners. And it also gave me, and of course, and that's where I stopped because that's all I had to work with. Now, if I had something to use here, let's just use this invoice. So pretend that this was some kind of, special paper. If I did well, let's just fold this in thirds. I could do something like that, and then this part would show and that part would show. I've never done anything like that before, but I think it's a heck of a good idea, if I do say so myself. So we'll see how this unfolds and, when I can get to it. Now, I also took a lot of fussy cutting to do with me. Now, these particular dresses are they were a Kim Newberg kit. One thing I'm seeing now that I have better light is that I need to do a few little touch-ups. So there are all of these gowns. Now, because I ended up with a piece of this cardstock, I thought, okay, why don't I just back all of these things? So it was basically the size of a piece of paper. I laid these things down. Whoops. The little dress just flew away. I laid them down just as economically as I could. And this is how many things I was able to get on that single sheet of paper. Now, because some of these dresses are a little just over the top, I, again, using my artistic privilege and license, made some of them more like, you know, women like us would wear, as opposed to maybe Victorian day or royalty. So I don't see it that I have the exact same dress in the larger size. But anyway, that is my point. There is that we can alter our fussy cutting as desired. I want to know who has a body like this, other than maybe Barbie. So I have all of these ready to go. Now, some of these might lend themselves to, you know, an altered paper clip. But again, I've had these for a long time. I did have several of them cut out, which means that I sort of doubled my work by not backing them initially or printing them on heavier paper. But now I have these done, and they're ready to use, essentially. So that was a good thing to get done as well. Now, I only saved 2 of these to show you. I made 4 of these. So this was a wide wired ribbon. I added some lace. Here I had some other fabrics that I turned into some flips. Of course, I didn't have a sewing machine there, so I just ran a stitching line across there. And I put the other 3 of each of these into those little mini journals. Now, I don't intend to do a flip through, but I was quite pleasantly surprised that as fat as these guys are getting, they still seem to fit into the book. So I'm pleased about that. So at some point, obviously, I'll be doing a flip through when I'm about to put them up for sale. These things, again, came out of a book that I had on graphic design, and basically I just cut them all out, so they are ready to go as well. So again, I was so grateful that I took my little Fiskars guillotine cutter, because that saved a lot of, you know, hand or wrist pain. I'd also taken one of those Christmas, what are they called? Christmas, oh, you always see them in, probably don't have a cover here to help me remember. They're magazine-sized publications. Oh, Spirit of Christmas. So this one had some really cute images. Again, I can see I need to take a hair's breadth off there. I should have cleaned my hands. I was just gluing stuff. Sorry about that. Anyways, these bears all over this tree were so darn cute that I backed them. And, you know, I could round the corners and whatever. These are all essentially ready to tuck into pockets. Really bright and cute. I forgot to show this when I did a thrift haul video. Oh, well, let me take it all out of here. I've got a mixture. I packed so compactly to get home. This, oh, I don't even remember where I got this now. I might have bought this before I went. I don't know. For somehow I got this. And I had it there to use. I don't think I used a single speck of it, but at least once I opened the package, I could see what was in there. And of course, most of these are on sticker backs. So I was pretty pleased with this purchase because, of course, I could only, the way it was packaged in the thrift store, I could only see the top page, which was, well, not that it matters, but I think it was probably, I think it was this. So if you saw a package of something like this, and it was maybe $1 or maybe $2, I don't remember, I'm sure you'd buy it too. So I did, and I was happy once I opened it. Now these, oh, this belongs to that too. This is a little stranger. And again, you know, sometimes I ask the question, sometimes I hesitate to ask the question if there's a lineup and so on. These were in a package, paid $1. They look like faux tiles, like ceramic tiles. Now, again, I could only see the top design. Was this a good deal or not? And they are an adhesive backing because they, I think, were sold with the idea that you could do this little, again, faux backsplash or something in your kitchen. I'll use them, but I don't know. I could have lived without them too, I guess. And I had also, oh, I don't know that, where is that thing? Another thing that I thrifted, but probably don't have near me. Oh, I do have it. I had, well, this is the packaging from this, the brand name here, K & Company. And it was all, I really hate to take this out, but I guess I should. I paid $2 for this sealed package of these page edges, and they were all Christmas. Like, is that not a hell of a deal? And you can see that I was separating these, you know, I'd cut them off there and I used some of those. Here's some green background with some snowflakes, some, I guess those are roses. Here's another one with birds, and they have a bit of glitter on them as well. Birds and presents, this ornate one, and I guess that's it. So I did try to use some of those things. Well, I used very few of them, let's be honest. I had also this was a freebie, a digital freebie that somebody had, that I've had for years, literally years. Of course, I didn't pack a paper punch, so I had to cut the little circles out, but I separated these tickets. I also had a few sentiments that I salvaged out of the Spirit of Christmas magazine. So those are ready to use. I did use a few of them. But another thing that I had clipped together were a whole bunch of narrow strips. They were either cut-offs from digital, like scrapbooking papers, or they were adhesive or something like that. And I thought, you know, they're such a pain in the butt, to be honest, to transport and store because they typically are 12 inches long. And that doesn't lend itself that well to things. So I had packed some paper. Now this is just a few pages that I hadn't used. Let me put this someplace. And then I thought, okay, I have some other papers here. Oh, here are more of these dresses that I still have to fussy cut. I then thought, okay, I have these spare pieces of paper. Why don't I just randomly start gluing them down? And you'll notice that I didn't fold any of these into signatures because sometimes that diminishes your choices. Anyway, this is obviously off the side of a paper pad. I didn't care that there was a hole there because that could be covered up or disguised in some way. I should have picked that glue off before Anyway, this is just a pink marbleized paper. This was something that I had dyed, and I used that adhesive border, across the whole length of it. This, I used 2 different ones on each edge here. Did that a second time. I had deconstructed a couple of books, and this was one of the end papers, and these were wallpaper strips that I had. So imagine me handling and storing all of these strips of paper. So I was so glad to have this done. I did this one as well, and this one. This is a digital I got from someone. I attached that. And then these were pages. These are 11 by 14, or 8.5 by 14, I guess, that actually have a little, few little marks on them because I salvaged them. I didn't really know that I was going to decorate them, but I did because chances are that would be covered up. So on these, because these 2 were cardstock, I turned them into shallow little pockets. Now, these pages were folded just because 14-inch paper really doesn't travel well. But there's nothing to say that I can't, do one of these or do one of these. So for now, I'm just leaving them folded in half. This has a little bit of a thing extending beyond. Oh, I had a variety of things, and I thought, well, why don't I just do a little mini collage along the side? So I don't know if this little pointy part will survive or not, but if it does, it would have to be at the top of the page as opposed to sticking at the bottom and getting bent every time you stand the book up. And just glued down some stuff. Glued down some stuff. So again, this is nothing, none of this is very earth-shattering or, where you think to yourself, oh man, did I really knock it out of the ballpark today? But it's those little time-consuming tasks that that make a person just glad that that you can get them done once and for all. Now this is, again, I was just kind of packing things to get them home. Okay, I had this, a couple of types of butterfly paper, scrapbooking paper, for the longest time. And I was fussy cutting. And so I did a bit more fussy cutting, and then I thought, is that really a good use of my time? So then what I did was I actually threw some bits and pieces away. If I could salvage about half a butterfly, I did, because we know that those can be used sort of bleeding off the edge of the page. These, of course, were too big to fit in this pouch, but so basically I have a lot of butterflies to add to my, I guess I don't need that big clip, to add to my whatever, to where I keep butterflies. Now, of course, some of these, do I have a ruler? Let's just use this. 3, 4, 5 inches. So, you know, will these remain the size they are? I don't know. But they could also be folded in half and become small signature pages, or they could be cut in half and become, or they could be, if they're folded in half, they could be like a wraparound around the edge of a page or the top of a page. They could be pockets or journaling cards or whatever I choose. Now, what was it? Oh, I know. I tore out some pages out of an old magazine. And these ladies, how was it? I think they were all on one page. And I thought, well, I kind of like salvaging the text and the price. So I backed it again on a piece of that blue paper. And then I thought, well, who says that cards have to be rectangles or squares or circles? Why can't they be this shape? And furthermore, who says that if it's this shape, that it has to be a rectangle? No, I don't know. Is this a trapezoid or what is this? I wanted to keep most of her nightgown and the text, so I just made it an obscure size. Same thing here. I could have squared this off, but I would have cut out part of the diagram, and I would have cut off some of the text. And I thought, let's make some irregular shapes. So these are ready to be used, you know, when I have a project that needs them. Oh, that's just more fussy cutting. Now, I salvaged out of that magazine, I salvaged some ads. I salvaged some brickwork. Now, there are more of these kinds of things that need to be, you know, obviously neatened up. But I worked on the Christmas ones first. So I still have, you know, some odds and ends here that need an iron, that need a little more of my attention. But again, it's way more usable and useful to me in this state than, oh, I need that, save that. Then than the state it was in beforehand. Lots of these, different occasions, different reasons for the graphic. So at some point when I have nothing to do or don't have any brain power left to do anything challenging, I will get those whipped into shape. Now, because I don't know if you guys have checked out Caroline on the Hillside, her channel. She does a lot of basically just gluing, and she has a kind of her very own style of journals and so on, and very much uses, you know, these sort of found objects and repurposed catalogs and so on. Anyway, I had 2 or so I had a continuing education brochure from way back when, from the university, or no, it was the city center, and several, 2 or so, I think, catalogs from Staples. So, you know, really nice images of office stuff, page of glasses, and so on. So some journals. I basically salvaged as many images as I could, thinking that, okay, I sort of promised myself and Caroline that I would try my hand at doing some of that more freeing, just glue whatever grabs your fancy. Whoops. And so I had taken this along. It was from AMA. It was the a brochure on cruises. So Caroline uses things like this, you know, magazines and pamphlets and so on. So this was the first one I had done. So this is probably very busy here, but well, we'll try to get away with it as is. Anyway, so you can see that I had used some papers that came out of a stitchery book. I had already fussy cut this. This was just in my fussy cutting pouch. This I had, this lamb and this cat were together. Okay, what else is here? Oh, this navy paper came from, from that continuing ed brochure. And I had some book pages. So I started putting it together and was kind of happy with how it was going. But if you can imagine it, without this bird and without this bunny, it did seem like something was missing. So as I found these objects, when I went thrifting in Canmore, there was a rack that had free magazines. So I'd picked up some kind of, I'd never seen that publication before. It was kind of one of those catalogs that has a lot of stuff that is either borderline cute or chintzy or, you know, crappy, depending on your point of view. So I fussy cut that bird, I fussy cut that rabbit, and that is a thing, a publication that I will keep going back to over and over again. But I was pretty happy with how this turned out, considering that I really didn't have much to access. So if you like what you've done once, well, why not do it again? So then I had some pages out of the Spirit of Christmas magazine. I don't remember where I got this brick effect or this backsplash thing, but I fussy cut that girl and this rocking chair that was beside her. I had some more images out of the cross-stitching book, and I fussy cut these two pieces of ribbon. I had a notch cut out of this, so I had to disguise it with that. I didn't like the way this ribbon turned out. I didn't want to cut either piece of ribbon off or shorter, but I also didn't necessarily like how they were looking. So I had to cover that end there, and that's what I did. Considering that I didn't preconceive anything here, I was kind of happy with how this turned out, because I think it's instructive. Oh, these are verticals, if I'm not mistaken. Well, she's covered up a lot of it, but I had these big pieces, and then I had a gap. So I filled that, and then I ended up putting the girl over it, and she didn't quite hold the day herself. There was too much wide open acreage over here. So then I looked through the cross-stitch book and I found this, and that seemed to brighten the page up as well, because we have a repetition of these whites here and there, you know, from her tights to the tiles to the little border around the sentiment to the background here. It's coincidence, and it's also a choice that I made, that there's a bear here when there are these bears. So yeah, I was pretty happy with how this turned out, and I will. So let me put these office things in here, because I'll probably end up continuing to work in this as I have time and the spirit moves me. But I have to say that it seems that some people have created channels where that's about all they do. And I subscribed to this woman, Nicole, Relax Cut Glue. And I think I've never seen her do a video, and I can't say that I've watched every video, far from it, but it seems that that's all she does. And She has a lot of subscribers. She sounds very happy and content. So it just goes to show that a person can find their lane and just keep doing the same thing and be very successful at it and be self-satisfied and all of that. Okay, let me show you a few more things. Not going to tell you what I'm doing with these just yet, but I had a bunch. Now they're kind of buckly, and I do need to trim them because even though they were all supposed to be the same size, they were not. These came out of a crafting catalog, and they all have a Christmas theme. I just backed them back two together. So that needs some work. Now I probably should put them on, hey, I'll put them under my sad iron. I mean, they're dried, but maybe I can flatten them out a bit more. Now, at one of the places I was at, I picked up this book, In the Night Kitchen by Maurice Sendak. And as strange as it is, there were a lot of baker images. I also love this because I'm hoping at some point I can use it. You know, nothing like screaming at the top of your lungs, "Quiet down there!" So this boy, I thought it was interesting. This is a boy who ends up naked at some point, and she kept him anatomically correct. Anyway, these are just sort of the surplus pieces that will, probably end up in a collage or whatever. The paper is nice. It's heavy. It's saturated with color. Giant milk bottle. Anyway, this is the byproduct. What I really was interested in were the baker images. I think some of you know that my dad was a cook in the Army, couldn't serve in active duty because of flat feet, and a couple missing fingers from a farm accident. Okay, that's the back cover. So, well, that's the cover page. So with some of these pages where, nice big images, nothing too weird. Now, I could cover that boy's face up. I didn't want to have to choose, so I thought these could end up being in a tall, skinny, or, cut down or whatever. But I didn't want to choose this side and screw up the other side. Again, it would take nothing to cover that little hand up. Really cute images. Some of the buildings look like pantry items, and so that's why I left those pages intact. But I also did, maybe I should show you on here, did do some image, fussy cutting in a sense. Saved some of the words that I could use somewhere, perhaps. We bake. I guess if I pile them on top of each other, I haven't done it. So I thought that, now that boy, he's on cake batter or dough or something. Now, I don't want an airplane there. I didn't want to necessarily cut this guy off at the chin. So I turned this into what would be a side tuck. And of course, something would have to cover that up because that makes no sense as it is. Here are a couple of cute little, these could be signature pages if the book was small. So the bakers, they mixed it and beat it and baked it. Just so cute. And I liked the style of illustration in this book where little tiny elements would break the line of the rectangle. So a little bit of his hat, a little bit of the tie on his apron, there's a shoe, there's that bottle. And, you know, same thing there, obviously. Again, really cute. What you don't know is that that is milk coming down from the sky or something. Again, I thought it was kind of whimsical that these buildings are actually food containers. Sorry, I keep piling these things up and making it hard for you to see. Now, with some of these, I kind of kept them partly intact, so that was the edge of the image, but fussy cut around those shapes because they're interesting. And I think I get away with it because the paper is pretty good. Now, if this got glued down to a page, then it's done. If I was hoping to turn this into a signature and have one guy on one page and another guy on the other, clearly the back would have to be covered as well. Another little cute image and another one where I fussy cut around the guys. So it made me smile to do this. I will get rid of, oh, put it back in here. Put it aside. We're very methodical here. I had taken some napkins along, and I used some of them in the Christmas books that I was working on. I had this mushroom one, and I used it on an end paper. Now this had the book owner's name, but I think if anything that just adds to it. And it seemed that this was the right color paper to use with those kinds of images. I had a piece of this Anaglypta wallpaper. I've had it forever. I had it folded in half. You might be able to see that crease there. And all I had done was at some point when I maybe had a rag or, I don't know, a rag or a brush, had dragged some color over it. And of course it's settled in those little crevices. So because I had all this pink paper, this pink here came out of one of the magazines that I picked up. So there are some digital pieces here, some wallpaper. I thought, let me glue these pieces down. They will be more useful to me that way than, this is pretty curvy here. Now this may end up, I've got something sticking up here. This may end up being a journal cover, you know, so it could be like, oh, see, that was just with glue stick. And of course, sometimes wallpaper is not that easy to work with. Anyway, I don't know if this ends up like this or like this, but I don't want that sharp crease there anymore, because if this ends up being a soft cover, then I want there to be like a soft curvature, as opposed to, I should actually be repairing this with our glitter glue and not wasting time with glue stick anymore. Anyway, so I was happy to do that. Now, oh, this is the book that I got those cross-stitch items out of. I fussy cut several of the shapes that were just beautiful on their own. So like these guys. Little ones, big ones, round ones, ones that were squared off. And because this is a book of Victorian patterns, there were so many cute ones, so many, you know, like little shoes, hats, ladies. Now, what have I got here? Oh, these are probably ones that, I don't know why these are separate. I guess maybe these will just remain square or rectangular or whatever. Anyway, so I got a lot of that done. And of course, it also minimizes the amount of space that this stuff takes in a suitcase. Whoopsie. There's a little giraffe. Don't want to lose him. Oops, and a bird. And then, of course, there were some sentiments and some bigger images. You know, like this is beautiful with this Emma, the bee, the little baby shoe. But so is that nice? Like, so I don't know. So where I didn't know, or where it was a full page image, I left things for the time being. But I made really good headway on this book, and so much of it was usable. Like, there's so many of these, because the beauty of this, you have the photo of the completed project as well as the actual chart. So there was all like, oh, and here's a third version. Plus, I saved a lot of these color keys and the thread, you know, the legend. So again, I think I just ran out of time. It seems to me that I was intending to make envelopes out of these full page designs because they're so cute. Cute, cute, cute. Yeah, I think I ran out of time or just moved on to something else. Yeah, there are several more I have to fussy cut. So clearly I have to go through this again quite soon and figure out what's what. But yeah, I really like this book. I should show you the cover again in case you want to keep your eyes peeled for it. So it's Debbie Minton's Yesteryear in Cross Stitch, 25 nostalgic designs to make and cherish. So even the cover is lovely. So I was really happy that I got that done. Let me put this aside. If you saw the haul video or one of the haul videos that I've done, you know that I picked up 3 yearbooks. This is 1982. This was, I think, just a high school. Like those end papers with that grain. So basically, I just deconstructed the book. I don't think I've really done anything with this other than, oh, I guess I cut out a few images. But basically, when I go through a book, I typically try to leave face up the side that I've chosen. So someone maybe wrote that, or maybe that's, I don't know. So if push comes to shove, I pick this side because I've already selected that. Sports. Well, I guess that one's open to debate. I thought this was really cute. I think more yearbooks should do this. I've never seen this before, where they have put the kid's baby picture there. So, and of course there would have been a legend saying who these kids are. Now, with 2 of these, I could use all of those images on this one. It would have to be a flip so we don't lose any kids. Did some cutting there now, and again, ran out of time other than, you know, like I say, sort of pre-selected some of the pages. Oh, there were even a few colored ones in there. So if you haven't used yearbooks, they are pretty a good source of a lot of dated photography. And then the second last thing I want to show you is this book. Now, if you saw a book like this, I guarantee that you would pick it up. Dust jacket on it. The book itself, well, it has fading. Can you see that? Fading along here, but really, it's a fabric-covered book. It's quite lovely. And I'd never heard of this woman. She's not quite as talented, I don't think, as Edith Holden was, but she's no slouch. Emily Hitchcock Terry. So, now I have wiped this cover down, this dust jacket down, but it still is kind of gross in places. Anyway, so this, obviously I took the book apart because there are all these gorgeous images. So, now you can maybe see, well, I've got some things going in different directions here, which doesn't help. Okay, here, you can see that this is all warped from having been wet at one point. See those wavy pages there? So anyway, I take it up to the till and I say to the woman, what are you going to charge me for this book, given that it has this water damage? So she knocked $2 off the price, and I thought, well, okay, I would have paid the full price even, but if I could get $2 off, of course, I'll take it. This book was printed in 1992, and these, oh, let me tell you, all these images are copyrighted till the cows come home. So apparently she lives in Minnesota. I did read something about her background. So there was a lot of biographical stuff. And then the section where the paintings began. So I wanted to show you the book. Now, there she is. Oh, no, that's the author. Forget that. She's looking pretty good from the 1800s, eh? So I wanted you to see this. And just to give you a feel for some of the images that I salvaged from there. So there was the map of Wisconsin. I think I saved, well, who knows where they are. Oh, a couple of pictures of her. That was her in 1885. And then, of course, all these florals. Now, at first, I cropped some of them. I wasn't entirely consistent in what I did, let's just say that. But you will notice that most of them do not have a margin on the right-hand side. I left the little, the white space on the left-hand side. Now, unfortunately, the description does not match that side, but it, you know, it wouldn't take that much to cover it, or again, does it even really matter? Because the water damage was on the right side, I wanted to cut off that wavy part. Some things, I guess in the beginning, I started cutting them totally around. And then, you know, that kind of almost limits your use a bit. That one had a quote. This had some dates on it. So I was not very consistent in what I did. But as I always say, in my defense, Your Honor, not all of these things would be used in the same project either. So it doesn't really matter how I did it. The fact is that this is so much closer to being ready to use than, you know, a lovely book that I thrifted. But I took it a step further because I thought, oh, these flowers are so beautiful. Now, you know I love a concertina. So what I did was I took, trying to get that mark off there. I took 7 images. And of course, you can see by this little mess here that a lot of them were not the same size. So I can't tell you how many times I trimmed these things. And essentially what I did was I had these left hand. I was going to honestly leave part of that and let it be the topic of the video. Let me show, well, let's pick one with just the left hand margin. So, okay, in a case like this, I would have glued, okay, if these two were, I would have glued them together in such a way that that white border was covered. Now, of course, the more precise one is in their cutting, folding, measuring, the better the book is going to be. I think I will still end up probably on my bigger cutter, shaving a bit off the top there. It was, you know, for people who don't like to measure, who don't care about precision, this is probably not the project for you. As it is, it's not perfect by any stretch, but this is what I have so far. So I have these images that I, you know, again, had to trim repeatedly to make them fit. You can probably see a shadow here where I folded it more than one, or no, this one is bad, where I folded it a couple of times because, again, each panel should be the same size. And I thought that by having measured precisely, like it shouldn't have mattered how wide the little margin, the connecting margin was, as long as the decorative part was the same size. But again, didn't have a scoreboard, and I was just, you know, folding as well as I could. And you'll notice that it's 7 panels of floral images. So the nature of a concertina, what is on the back side? Well, it was all of those kind of pages. But because I had all that paper with me, I just picked a variety of papers, and you can see I really was quite, like, I really don't like that one, and I really don't like that one, but again, that's the challenge. Use it up. This is gift wrap, not the greatest paper in the world either. But I did it, and you'll notice that there are spaces, and that's because each of these folds is going to be covered with something. It'll either be washi tape or, well, I won't put a lace or fabric because that would be too bulky at this point. But something will go on there. So I just wanted to show you this because, why is that sticking out so much? I think I have to stop worrying about that. Is that the answer to my problems here? Stop worrying about it. Anyway, at some point I will pick this up again and continue to finish the folds and to add some pockets and maybe some flips or journaling space or whatever. Like obviously something like that is basically can be journaling space that's light enough to write on, you know, and so on and so on. So I think that concludes what I did, other than, of course, all the things I did in the little Christmas books. But I'm not showing you that today. So, yeah, not bad accomplishing that much in those few days, because yes, it was 7 days, but 2 of those were, you know, travel days. And And yeah, I was pretty pleased with what I accomplished. I don't, there might be some, well, we're not going to worry about. Well, let me see. Do I have anything to show you in here? Anything else that I had done. Oh, yeah, this was cool. Did some fussy cutting out of that Spirit of Christmas book. I'm just kind of looking through this pouch that I had there, so. But I do, let's put this boy away. I do want to show you this because it is nice. So in that magazine, it must have been a December issue, that Family Circle, there was this gift guide. Now, again, I need to finish that in some way. But I thought, first of all, oh, I'm going to fussy cut. So imagine a 2-page magazine spread with these little itty-bitty things to cut out. And then I thought, well, no, that's foolishness. You can make your life easier. Now, I can't exactly reconstruct this. Oh, yes, I can. Look, there's her scarf. So I had to cut her arm off just below the elbow. Don't know where this came from. I think this might have been in this corner. Anyway, I ended up with some kind of weird shapes. Oh, I know, because there was text in the middle, so that's why I ended up with a shape like that. I don't want to lose the brooch, and I don't want to lose those women. So I'll have to figure out some way to, maybe put lace or another paper there or something. But are these not cool? And wouldn't you like to get some of these as Christmas presents? I thought this was really quite a nice little, and of course, this doesn't really say Christmas in any sense of the word, other than it was a December issue and it was a gift guide. But certainly any of these cards could be used in a ladies' journal or any other kind of book that a person might be working on. So I was happy about that. And then there was one other thing in that book. This was the height of the page, and I glued it down to reinforce it, and I just basically cut around it. So this is quite tall. It's 10 inches tall. So, it would have to be used in a tall skinny, or it would have to be, cut halfway, or I guess, you can't exactly cut it into quarters because, the underneath ones will always be kind of weird. Anyway, now we can say we're done. So thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you in the next one. And you can tell from this that I didn't let any moss grow under me in camera. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.